Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Big Talk podcast. I'm thrilled that you are here because I have a really juicy topic to share with you today, my friend, and it is all about this new wave of business leadership. And this is something that I've been speaking about a lot lately on my socials and with my clients because it's like things are starting to change. Okay. The last few years have really obviously thrown us a few curveballs in terms of the world and global events. But what we're really seeing is this is having a massive impact and has had a massive knock on in terms of the online coaching and e-learning space. It's more in demand than ever before, but we're seeing this really interesting kind of juxtaposition between a demand for services, but also clients who are a lot more discerning as well. And so there are all of these sorts of trends that are starting to play out. And I'm sure we've noticed that the way we would have marketed something 5 years ago versus maybe how we would market something now has shifted dramatically. And so this episode today is kind of like a little bit of an industry watch for you guys, because you might know, if you've been following me for any length of time, I've been in this industry for almost 9 years now. I've seen a lot of churn. I've seen a lot of change. I have seen people come. I've seen people go. And so what I really wanted to do was just kind of share with you guys really openly and transparently and honestly what I'm seeing as some of the key evolutions in this space and things that you should watch out for coming into the end of 2023 and then heading into 2024 as well. All right. So basically, today's episode, if I was to just kind of rewind a little bit, today's episode is for you if you are an online coach, if you run programs online, whether those are one-to-one programs or group programs, maybe you're in the wellness profession, maybe you're a therapist, maybe you're a healer or a course creator, okay? Or you desire to be. So this episode is for you if you are very much part of this very fast growing industry, and it is still one of the fastest growing industries in the world. It is an incredible time to join this industry, but it's for you if you're kind of like, you've sort of come out of the tumble-dryer the last few years and you've found yourself kind of in this place in your business where you're either potentially looking to start a new business, right? Or perhaps you've got a business, but you're not quite seeing the growth that maybe you want to see. Or maybe, as I said, you've sort of flopped out of the tumble dryer given the world events and you're like rubbing your eyes and you're thinking, oh, I really, really, really desire to pivot my business, pivot my message. I want to work with a new audience, or I want to really bring my business into that place of radical and deep soul alignment. Because perhaps, just perhaps, although I am seeing this a lot, perhaps your business is no longer really and truly aligned with what you want to be doing. So perhaps there's sort of a little bit of you in all of that. All right. So if there is, this episode is absolutely for you today. And I think, putting that sort of stuff aside, one of the things that I'm really noticing with people who book breakthrough calls with me and people who are coming through my programs in recent months in particular is that there's this overall sensation, and I don't know if you felt this too, but this overall sensation of what's actually working at the moment. Things are changing so much in the online space. We've seen AI really take off this year. Okay. We're seeing all of those marketers that are like, you got to use AI and get on board with AI or get left behind, you losers kind of thing. And you've got all of the changes with Facebook and all of the advertising pieces as well that are kind of changing there. Also, we're seeing new social media channels coming on board. We're seeing a lot of churn and change. And so I think there are a lot of people in this industry at the moment really rubbing their eyes and like, what the hell do I do? What is actually going to really help me see results in my business? And not just dollars and cents type results. I'm talking about what's really going to help you feel aligned and good and powerful and activated in your work too. Because again, if you know me, you'll know that I am as much about the inner work and the inner game as I am about the external strategy and all of the smart business stuff too. In fact, the internal game is something that I work with in a lot of my programs, the mindset work, but going deeper than that into more shadow work and psychodynamics as well, really getting into somatics too. And so I think when you kind of stand back from it all, It's about, right, how can I have and optimize my inner game to feel great, but also see those external results, those consistent results too. So I'm seeing this a lot, and people really catching their breath because they've been running in circles trying to figure out what's going on. So as I said, today's episode is all about kind of this bit of an industry watch. And something that I want to kind of talk you through is, well, what does this new wave of business leadership really look like? What does it look like in terms of that old paradigm and kind of what's exiting, if you like, which is a really nice time to look at this, given that it's autumn here in the Northern Hemisphere. So it's kind of like, what's on the way out? What's that old paradigm stuff that we can kind of say goodbye to? And then kind of on the opposite side of that, it's like, well, what does this new paradigm of leadership really look like? What does this new paradigm of the coaching industry, creating transformational programs, look like? What's working? So I kind of want to break it down into these two areas today. And as always, I would love your feedback on this episode. And if you are feeling called, I do have a handful of breakthrough sessions that are available too in my calendar. You can head over to lightpurposeliving.com/talk. There will be a link in and around this episode as well. And we can sort of talk. We can talk about what's actually working in your business, what's not working in your business, and how can you start applying some of these changes to your business starting today as well. Those calls are obligation free. You'll get 40 minutes of my time and my eyes on your business. So please do take advantage of one of those calls. And as I said, it's obviously an invitation for us to go deeper into looking at how you can start applying some of what I'm about to share today into your business too. So I wanted to kind of throw that in there as an invitation for you guys. But let's get stuck in. Let's talk about this old paradigm. What's on the way out? What can we expect to see no more of from this year and beyond? Or at least I'm sure we won't see as much of it potentially as we have seen in the past. So let me kind of look at my notes too, because when I was preparing for this episode, I've literally got pages and pages of notes because it's like, oh my God, there's so much like that's old paradigm that we need to throw out and start moving into the new paradigm. So let me kind of go through this piece by piece. And again, pause this episode, take some notes. There is loads of juicy information here for you today. If you watch my or listen to my podcasts rather, you'll know that I give loads of value. All right. So this isn't just kind of some skimming the surface kind of thing. All right. We're going to really get stuck in today. So here's the old paradigm stuff that you may or may not be familiar with. Maybe you've been doing some of this stuff in your work, but let's get stuck in. So one of the things that I think is really on the way out in terms of this old paradigm and old way of working online is to constantly be on social media. Right. And I know this kind of flies in the face of everything that people like Gary Vee and all the other big marketers sort of talk about. But it's like, we don't need to be hustling our faces off 24/7 on social media. Right. I really do think that this is on its way out. And do you remember? I always remember watching this video. I can't remember. Oh my God, I can't remember whose video it was, but someone was saying you've literally got to create 40 pieces of content every day and distribute them across a multitude of different social media channels. I think this is very much old paradigm, all right? Because what we're starting to do is really begin to unravel ourselves from this kind of bro marketing, hustle culture, hustle your face off, but you get online and be typing out all of these kind of crazy posts for LinkedIn and Instagram until your fingers bleed, like all of this sort of stuff. There's constantly being switched on. I really do think this is on its way out. Similarly, I think what's also on its way out is being connected across all platforms with your business. Now, what I'm not saying is that social media is not important. It absolutely is. It's still the number one way that my clients and I get leads. Obviously, we promote our services on social media. It can be an incredible way to get in front of the right audience, a tailor-made audience as well. But something that I know is working really, really well, and I'll get onto new paradigm in a minute, but is not being so connected, is actually doing less better. Okay, I'm going to come on to what that looks like, but believing that you need to be across all 6 main social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, whatever else, other ones there are. But it's like, you don't need to be doing that. And I think there is this real move back into what feels good and nourishing to our nervous system. Okay, this isn't about not doing anything on social media, but I really do think that there's an invitation with this old paradigm shift that says, okay, why are we needing to be constantly churning out content? Why do we need to be doing all of the live streams and all of the reels and all of the long form posts and long form content across all of these different platforms? I really do think that this is on its way out. Okay. And I guess to that end, it's this kind of idea that we've been really pushing against our feminine energy. And that feminine energy exists within you regardless of your gender, but it's really that receptive and open and nourishing erotic energy. And when I say erotic, I'm going to do like a whole thing on this, but the erotic is really that eros energy, that creative energy. It's been hijacked and sexualized over the millennia, but it's like this idea of this kind of creativity and cultivating that. All right. And what I'm not saying, again, is that we don't need that masculine, linear doing energy. Of course, we need to do stuff. Of course, we need to tick boxes, but we don't get to do that at the expense of our feminine, receptive, creative, powerhouse, juicy energy. And when you think about some of that marketing messaging that's out there at the moment of you got to get on board with AI or you're going to get left behind, and it's like I'm really seeing the opposite starting to emerge as well. And when we see this generally with cultural paradigms, it's like when there's one kind of extreme that starts to materialize, the counter extreme starts to bubble up as well. And so this extreme that says, you can write your online courses in 5 minutes using AI and then sell them and basically rip people off, versus actually rooting down deep into our feminine creative core, into our creative juices. I believe that there is going to be this real calling for deeply creative, soul-fueled, incredible work, incredible messaging, when everyone and everything else is homogenized and samey and AI'd, okay? There's going to be a really beautiful opportunity to shine a little differently, which I'm going to come on to soon. So I think there's this kind of notion where we've been pushing against our feminine energy, and we've seen this a lot with the bro marketing tactics that are out there and are still being promoted, pushing against that kind of natural receptivity and creativity where it's like all go, 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 ticking boxes, jumping up and down, like saying your affirmations. It's like, yeah, you got to close all these people and like this shit. No one wants that. So it's like that's out, right? Pushing against our feminine energy is out, all right? Similarly, and I guess it's kind of related to that, is this idea of hard selling. Okay. And I know everyone likes to say that they don't hard sell, but a lot of people still do. And it's pretty revolting, to be honest with you. And look, I know that sounds judgmental, but hey, maybe I am sometimes, and that's okay. But look, hard selling is old paradigm. Slamming people into sales, borderline bullying people into making sales, not giving them enough time to collect their thoughts and really pressuring people over the phone, forcing yourself into people's DMs and intrusive selling as well is really old paradigm stuff. Okay. And, there'd be a lot of people that would argue with me against that. Okay, still, there are so many people that would argue with me against that. I have ex-mentors and coaches that are still promoting that style of selling. All right, sliding into people's DMs, hassling people, cold calling people. Like, whoa, who cold calls these days? But it's like cold calling is still a thing, right? Appointment setting is still a thing. Hiring people to do this sort of stuff. And then when you get people on the phone, slamming them into a sale under a high pressure conversation, that is absolutely on the way out. Okay. And there is nothing ethical about that either. Okay. And I really do think that this new paradigm, we're going to see a lot more starting to establish itself around ethical sales. Okay. Which I'll come on to in a minute. So this kind of pushing against our feminine energy, being really in this kind of hyper masculine space. Okay, but kind of toxic masculine as well, borderline bullying in some respects too. And I know that there are some beautiful voices that have been emerging over the last few years, really countering this narrative and this old paradigm, which I think is amazing. Hopefully you've seen that I've been one of them as well. But it's like this kind of this hard selling in the DM, slamming people into sales, linear pushing, all about the numbers. I mean, come on, we're in 2023, for God's sake. Like, business is about so much more than that. And I think particularly the sort of business that we're in, okay, which is about helping people and serving people. Now, what this doesn't mean, and I think this is old paradigm as well, but in a very different way, what this doesn't mean is that people like us need to flip into the wounded healer archetype. This is old paradigm as well, albeit on the opposite end of the spectrum, okay, which is we do everything for everyone and we trample on our own needs and boundaries, and we don't take a stand in terms of what's a fair exchange energetically, i.e. what we're charging, right? And we just kind of work for a pittance, barely being able to, rub two beans together. No, we don't do that either. That's on its way out. But what is emerging, I think, is this kind of midway point between ethical selling, all right, transformational offers, being in serviceship, and also charging fair and usually what I call mid-ticket pricing, okay, and having some signature offers in your business that do cater to people who want to go on more of a transformative experience over a longer period of time, not just feeling like you need to continually sell one-off sessions or cheap workshops or $5 ebooks or run, a $10 workshop at the local community center and you're going to hope to pay your mortgage on that. That's just not going to happen. And I have, no disrespect to any of those things, by the way. But what I also do is I talk to a lot of people. I speak to dozens of people every single month on my consult calls, my breakthrough calls, who are all telling me they want to get to that kind of 5K. Just like, let's get me to 5K, replace my corporate salary. You're not going to do that by selling $5 ebooks, okay? You're not going to do that by selling however many sessions you need to sell at the local community center or one-off one-to-one coaching sessions. We need a smarter way of working, but in a way that feels good and fair and empowered to you, all right? But that's not around hard selling. That's not around, having very polarizing offers either. So there's this beautiful middle ground that I think is arising that I'll talk to in a minute, okay? I think the other thing that's out, and look, I know a lot of people disagree with me on this, and I contemplated whether to include this one, but I think there's something about live launches that's feeling really tiresome for people. I'm just going to say it like it is. Now, look, I live launch, okay? I live launch my certification program a couple times a year. I also do soft live launches for my business masterminds and other programs and things too. But I've just found, and I've spoken to so many people that get really burnt out from this model, having to literally every month or two launch something different, whether it's a new program. Oh my God, I got to sell one-to-one sessions now. Oh my God, now I've got to sell my course. And they're like always riding this launch roller coaster. I think people are exhausted by that model. And again, this is kind of getting into new paradigm, but I think there's really space for beautiful, nourishing, evergreen offers that have rolling enrollment systems, okay, as being like the backbone for your business. And then any live launches you choose to do, or any one-off workshops at the community center or online or wherever, just becomes gravy on top of that. And because you have this beautiful financial backbone that's nourishing you, where maybe you only need to enroll 1, 2, 3, maybe clients a month into that offer, depending on what your income goals are. And you have that consistency coming through. You've got that backbone, which then means that you're feeling nourished. So you can then do the one-off launches, and you can do that in an energy that feels really good rather than, oh my God, I've got to launch this or I'm not making any money this month. No one wants to be in that energy. So I really think that that is old paradigm on the way out kind of stuff. And I think along with that is that kind of that inconsistency game that I know that so many people in this industry kind of put up with and think, oh, well, that's just part and parcel of being your own boss and running a business. And in a way, okay, that there's part of that we can accept. Of course, being business owners, we got into this game for a reason. It's like we're risk takers as well, right? We are willing to back ourselves. We have that level of confidence in ourselves too, in that sometimes, we know that, for example, we always know that December's are a bit of a low month. We're not going to maybe earn as consistently as what we did in, say, April, May. However, I think this whole inconsistency of income thing is something that people are feeling like they really want to remedy. And that sounds like, oh, well, that should be a given. But I know so many people that kind of, again, ride this launch roller coaster where they're making sure, 15, 20, 50K, whatever it happens to be in 1 month. And then they're not making anything for 6 months. And so, again, that might work for some people. And look, there is no right or wrong with any of this. But I'm just, again, industry watch, okay, sharing a little bit of what I'm noticing unfolding and some trends within the field as well. And I think there are some ways where you can set up evergreen selling too, and evergreen programs that feels really nourishing, that feels actually really supportive of your nervous system, and that feels really supportive of your clients as well, where they get the best of you, okay, rather than signing up for your program for a big launch, okay, and then it's like you run ragged because launches are exhausting, and then they don't get the best of you in the container. I see that happen too, right? So again, old paradigm. And on that too, I guess just to finish up the sort of the old paradigm before I move into what I see as coming in as this new wave, this new paradigm. Old stuff is these big, nameless, faceless containers, okay? Big, nameless faceless courses and programs where you literally feel like a number. I think people are done with this kind of more information-based learning. And look, again, this stuff really does have its place. Of course it does. But I really do think that people are craving something a bit different. I think people are craving more nurturing, more hands-on, more high-touch support, whilst also staying connected to a community of like-minded people. So it's about how can we strike that balance in our business models and with our offers. And so I've got some ideas on that too, which I'll share with you. But I really do think those big nameless, faceless programs are on the way out. All right. At least they are for me, and they are for my clients as well. I mean, I've never offered those big nameless programs, to be honest with you, but it's like I see a lot of people in the industry starting to wind down that stuff and focus on more bespoke offerings and more impactful offerings that actually create a real transformation for people. Okay, so let me share with you new paradigm. So that's all the stuff that I think, right, that's on its way out. So what's rising up to take its place? All right. So I think the first thing, going back to what I was saying about not needing to be constantly on social media and across all of the different platforms and all of this, one of the things that I really promote in my work with my clients is you still absolutely need to be consistent. So what I'm not saying to you is that consistency doesn't matter with your visibility and with your postings and all of that. Consistency matters, but it doesn't have to be constant. There's a big difference, right? Being constantly on social media, checking your Instagram notifications, checking to Facebook, logging onto LinkedIn, and you don't need to be constantly connected and constantly on. And yes, there's something around barriers and boundaries here, okay? But I'm a really big fan of consistency by doing less better. Not doing more, not boiling all of the pots on the stove all at once and then wondering why you're burning your fingers, okay? Why one's bubbling over and it's like, churning out the endless content creation, 40 pieces of content a day per Gary Vee style. No, I'm a really big fan of doing less better. I personally am on 2 core channels, Facebook and Instagram. All right. I don't do LinkedIn. I don't do Twitter. I don't do TikTok. All right. I've recently introduced YouTube in the last year or so, but really that is super low maintenance. Literally just share these podcast episodes over there. There's been no real concerted effort to grow that. And look, what I'm not saying is that this won't change as my company grows, as my team grows, of course, but I'm coming to you from the perspective of a six-figure business owner, okay? And this is what I do, all right? And this is also what I support my clients do too. And so I know that this can work for not just me, but for a multitude of different niches and different types of coaches and wellness pros and visionaries and whatnot. Okay, so I think literally doubling down and going deeper rather than wider with your efforts, with your posting, with your messaging, all of that. So I'm a really big fan on doubling down into a couple of things, one, maximum two channels, and doing less better. All right. And I think what that does is it's just sort of, it keeps you very potent, right? So going back to this thing about, old paradigm is really pushing against that feminine energy, that eros, that creativity. I think when you do less better, you've got a chance to kind of like sink down into your juiciness. Sink down into that juiciness, right? Really kind of close your eyes and feel that. What would it mean to get really potent in your messaging? To know that you're speaking with the right people, that your message comes purely from the creative source and that creative well within you. You're not having to scramble every day to try and think up some new content ideas because Gary Vee told you that you needed to post 40 pieces of content a day. It's like, imagine, going back to the consistency principle, not constant principle, the consistency principle. What if you posted 3 times a week, okay, across your 2 platforms, same content across both platforms, but you did it from a place of just pure potency and power and activation? Rather than that, from that place of every morning you open your laptop and you think, oh, what a script, what am I talking about? Oh my God, is anyone going to read my stuff? How many likes am I going to get today? Oh no, not many. No. Okay. So I think this kind of doing less better allows you to kind of tap into that creative core, to feel more aligned with your essence and to be able to then birth that out through your channels, through your business, through your programs, being able to then show up fully and more potently with your audience. Other thing that I would say about this new paradigm is, people are kind of like done with being nurtured for months on end. Yeah, the traditional marketing model where it's like, get people onto your email list and then you got to nurture them. You got to build your audience. You got to nurture them. And there's some wisdom in that. Of course, I build my audience. I have ads running to lead magnets where I'm building my audience. I'm promoting my lead magnets on social media. I'm building my list that way. Yay. All right. But the reality is that people don't want to be nurtured for months on end anymore. People are making decisions much more quickly. People are consuming content much more quickly. People's attention spans are like zilch, like less than a goldfish pretty much now. And so what we need to do is really start to look at quick and potent, again, there's that word, potent marketing that targets the right people with the right message at the right time so they're ready to buy. I'm going to say that again, the right people with the right message at the right time so they're ready to buy. People will make decisions quickly. Of course, there's going to be a few that want to sit on your list for 3 years and then eventually maybe sign up for one of your things, all right? But ultimately, people make decisions really quickly. Just to give you some insights, with a lot of the systems that I use and share with my clients, people are literally finding out about me on social media, maybe through one of my ads or through one of my posts. They sign up for my stuff. They literally become a client on average within 3 to 4 days. Within 3 to 4 days, they become a paying client, right? Not all of the time, of course, but this is absolutely possible because I think what we're seeing is this kind of difference in buying behavior. People, particularly when they know that they have a problem that they need some help with and some support with, they want to invest. People still want to invest. Don't let this whole cost of living and economic stuff fool you. Okay. People are still absolutely looking to invest in those problems that they're experiencing, whether that's in their business, life, relationships, career, health and wellness, or whatever. All right. So please don't fall into this victim narrative trap either, that, oh, people don't have any money anymore. Oh, oh my God, no one's, no. Honestly, this is a lie. people are still absolutely seeing incredible results in their business, and not just in, my business, but my clients' business too. People are really killing it. But you do have to have a strong message. And so you have to have this kind of what I call this potent approach to your marketing, to your messaging, but also to your sales systems and strategies too. All right. So this is super important, this kind of potent marketing strategy that really does look at and work with how buying behavior is changing. But a big part of this as well, and it kind of builds on this, is yes, it's about quick, potent marketing, all right, that showcases who you are, what you can offer, and your essence, because people want to really kind of get tapped into who they're going to be working with. They want to be presented with that irresistible offer. But, and here's a big but, because we haven't seen a lot of this in the old paradigm, but they want this done ethically. Like, sounds like it should be a given, right? Of course, ethically. But remember what I was saying before about slamming people into sales, harassing people in the DMs, stalking people on social media, hard selling and all of this sort of stuff, right? People want that freedom and flexibility also to make their decisions in a way that feels contained, but also aligned with them. Contained, but aligned. And so let me share what I mean by that. People will absolutely buy quickly when they know you can help them. Obviously, that's a given. That they want to actually solve the problem that they're experiencing or get to that outcome that they want to create. They're committed to that, and they're ready to really make those steps towards making it happen. Okay, people will absolutely buy. You've got to have that alignment. All right, they've got to have that kind of containment as well of, what it is that you're offering, and that they know that that's a match. They want to be able to have that containment in terms of making their decisions as well. They don't want to be pushed into a sale on the phone. They don't want you all up in their DMs with your latest offer with your 50% discount on it or whatever. They don't want that. People still need a container to make a decision, but a container that's actually ethical and supportive of their decision-making process, rather than a container that needles their psychological pain points to make them make a decision. This is a really important distinction. That container can still absolutely serve people, but honestly, that container needs to serve people, not slam people, not cajole people, not force people. I've never done this in my business. Cajole, force, push. All right. I have seen and been part of many sales trainings that teach the exact opposite. But ironically, under the guise of this sort of bit of a gaslighty sort of approach. But anyway, it's all these psychological tactics that are still alive and well in this industry, but I really do believe are starting to phase out with this old paradigm. Okay. So I guess kind of summarizing that, people absolutely will make quick decisions. They want to buy. People want solutions, but they want the space and the container to do that in a way that feels really good for them, that's ethical, all right, where they have that breathing space, that chance to kind of settle into their bodies around, is this a soul yes, or is this a soul no? And so there's something about this kind of sales approach that's more aligned, that is gentle, but also potent. There's that word again, potent, and powerful and irresistible, but not potent, powerful, and irresistible because you're pushing someone into a sale, but potent, powerful, and irresistible because they need what you've got, and they see that and they recognize it. The other thing that I'm seeing as being part of this kind of new paradigm, and I kind of alluded to this before, is this sort of the wounded healer thing being on its way out. And I absolutely believe this. I think people who are here to do great things, coaches, therapists, well, all you people on the podcast that are listening to me now, all my clients, people in my audience, me too. It's right. We're not here to play that archetypal victim-y role anymore, where it's like I give and give and give of myself, but I get nothing in return, apart from maybe a few thank yous and some kind words. Guess what? Thank yous and kind words aren't going to pay the bills. right? I'm going to just call it tight. So what's really starting to emerge is this space of not lowballing offers, which I've traditionally seen a lot of people with this wounded healer archetype doing. So as I said, kind of offering the one-off sessions here or there, or doing exchanges, or radically discounting their prices, and basically just kind of trying to scrape by every month, wondering how they're going to pay their mortgage and their bills. But what I'm also seeing is that these super duper high ticket offers, I think, there's a place for all of this, by the way. There's a place for, I'm a big fan, right? Big fan of range in your offers. I think that you can have stuff that's low ticket. I think you can have stuff that's super premium. But do you know what I found works really well for people who are just kind of getting started or wanting to really get that momentum? Is something that's kind of more of that mid-ticket range, right? And when I say mid-ticket, to give you an idea, many of my clients create 3 or 4 month programs. Let's just say it's a relationship coaching program, okay, 3 or 4 months, and they might offer that as a one-to-one experience for people, or they might offer it as a small group program, okay? And typically they'll charge anywhere between $1,500 to $3,000, all right, to begin with for a 3 or a 4 month program. Now, that pricing, depending on where you're at with things, that might feel really high or that might feel really low. But typically on average, what I've found, and this is just through working with people and feedback and all of that, it's like that's actually quite doable for people. It might be a stretch. It might feel like, okay, all right. So even if I say $3,000, all right, okay, so $3,000 over 3 months, that's $1,000 a month, or over 4 months, it's a bit less than that. My maths is rubbish. You figure it out. But it's like, all right, that could probably be doable if I was really invested and really clear around the outcomes of the program and how that was going to help me. It's not going to send me bankrupt, because we're not about that either. Going back to the ethical piece, we're not here to put people in scarcity or to fry their nervous systems with financial investments they cannot make. But it is about saying, for the right people who can afford this container for now, that feels it's doable. All right. But it also feels, and this is like this kind of art and this science to pricing, it also feels like it's going to keep me with skin in the game. Because how many times, and I've done this before, have we invested in courses or programs and we've paid, I don't know, $97 for it? Now let's push the boat out. Let's say $197 or $497 for it even. But we just don't show up to it the same way that we would if we paid even $1,500 for it. We don't show up the same way, certainly if we paid a couple of grand for that course. So I think it's about, again, looking at the overall spectrum and scope of your business and knowing that there is scope and spectrum and range for all of these different price points. But I think if you're really wanting to get traction towards that 5K, that arbitrary, not arbitrary, rather, 5K, which is kind of typically where I find most people want to start, because that pays the mortgage, it replaces the corporate salary, gets them out of the 9 to 5, right? You can have a really hard time making that 5K if you're selling 50 quid coaching sessions or £50 Reiki sessions, all right? Or God forbid, bloody just relying on $10 local community college yoga classes. Okay. And I'm not saying this to be kind of, I don't know, unkind or anything. It's like, I'm saying this because it's like, we need to really look at a realistic path to get you to that 5K. Whereas if you were selling, I don't know, like a mid-ticket, as I said, relationship coaching program, or a mid-ticket find your purpose, meaning in life program, or a mid-ticket nutrition program, particularly for people who are postpartum, I don't know. And then you were to put a price tag on that of, say, $2,000 for 4 months, 500 quid a month, $500 a month for 4 months. Okay. Doable for a lot of people. And it's going to really fast track you to that 5K a lot faster. So if you want 5K in revenue, you only need to sell 2.5. I don't know who your half is, but you only need to sell 2.5 of those a month to make you 5K. Do you think that you could find 2.5 clients? Let's call it 3. 2 to 3 clients a month in that program to make your 5K, rather than, and I'm just going to get my calculator out because my maths really is bad. But if you're wanting to make £5,000 or $5,000, depending on where you are in the world, divided by, let's push the boat out and say you want to charge £100 or dollars an hour for your coaching sessions. That's 50 coaching sessions a month. 50 coaching sessions at $100 an hour to make 5K. I mean, and then you've got no guarantee those 50 are going to come back and invest another 50 next month. It's just a really untenable, stressy business model. All right. Even then, if you were like, all right, Amanda, smarty pants, what if I'm not ready to sell even £1,500 a month or $1,500 programs? What then? But I still want to get to 5K a month. All right, well, let's say that you wanted to sell an e-course for, I don't know, let's say the magical 297. So $5,000 divided by 297, you got to sell 16 of those courses every month. That's a lot. All right. Particularly if you have no audience, particularly if you have a very low ad budget to drive your audience to your offer, particularly if you're probably a bit fuzzy on your messaging and why people even need it. And frankly, at 297, you're probably going to attract a lot of people who are tire kickers, all right, who maybe not quite ready to invest in the transformation. So they're probably not going to sign on with you after that to do your one-to-one work or your more premium offers. See where this is going? So it's like the business model that I can support people with, and just not even about me, but it's like what I've seen work is when you can create these beautiful mid-ticket offers, one-to-one offers maybe, or even these small group programs, or even like a hybrid. I do this a lot in my own business where it's like this hybrid between one-to-one and small group workshops. Okay, beautiful model because people get you, but they also get community, all right? So beautiful transformational offers is really what I've seen as highly effective business models in this new paradigm. I'm seeing more and more of these business models starting to materialize. And I think if you can, and this kind of brings me on to the next part, if you can start to put these on evergreen, where people can kind of enroll at any time, rather than, again, doing the big stressy launch roller coaster, I think these gentle evergreen offers with a gentle yet potent sales process wrapped around them. I mean, it's incredible because you get the consistency. Like I said, you can sell 2, maybe 3 spots a month, depending on what you're charging and what your income goal is, rather than trying to get those 50 one-off sessions or sell 16 of your e-courses. It just starts to become really doable. And you might be thinking, oh, who am I to charge 1,500 quid for a program or 3,000 or whatever? There's a lot of stuff that can go into that in terms of your internal stories and money beliefs and all that sort of stuff. That's things that we would need to deep dive into together. But I think hand on heart, and I've seen this with the hundreds of clients that I've supported with in this way, when they actually start developing their signature offer, which is something that I support people with, because constructing these offers in a way that not only brings out the best and most potent parts of you and your unique genius and your unique methodology, not some bullshit methodology that's been handed down to you or something that everyone else is doing, something that's unique to you. When you can actually see that on paper, when you can see that starting to materialize in terms of a program or a container or a journey for people, and you price it up the right way, and you wrap the messaging around it that's potent, that calls out to those people, it's such a powerful way of working because you're doing and delivering your soul's work. People are getting an actual transformation rather than just working with you like one-off sessions here or there. Okay, they're going on a journey with you, which means better results, better testimonials for you. Okay, it just really starts to click into place. The money's right. It's a win-win for everybody. And so I'm really seeing this starting to emerge in the new paradigm. It's out with these kind of big, nameless, faceless containers and programs, like I said, these low-ticket e-courses that no one ever really does. You know, I've signed up to so many e-courses for $497, right? And they sit literally, I'm looking at it now, literally in my inbox thing, filed away under courses. And I think I've logged in once or twice, okay, because it doesn't have the personal accountability and support. Now, I want to preface this by saying, as I said, I'm a big believer in range. So what I'm not saying is that you've just got to do medium ticket, because actually myself and a lot of people that I work with, we're really passionate about opening up the opportunity for our work to hit people of all income brackets and all capabilities, income capability, okay? But again, going back to that financial backbone, what's really important, all right? It's like the old kind of put your life, not your life raft. What is it? What's that thing? What is the oxygen mask? That's it. Oh my God. You got to put your own oxygen mask on first before you can help other people. So what we need to do is really look at how can we get to you to that 5K a month mark minimum to begin with, get that rocking and rolling, giving you that momentum, that financial backbone. So then you can take a breath and think, right, okay, great. Now what can I do? How can I offer my services in a different way for people who are less able to afford my mid-ticket programs? How can I maybe create an ebook? All right. How can I do some one-off workshops, maybe for $27? All right. And so all of that, going back to what I was saying, that then starts to become the gravy on top. But we've got to get that financial backbone set first. What I see people doing is reversing the two. I see people wanting to do all of these other things and thinking that they need to start off there. And then they're like, oh my God, I can't pay my bills this month. Oh my God, I've got to stay in my job for another 6 months or whatever. So, I'm a really big believer in let's get your bloomin' oxygen mask on first, my friend, and then let's look at how we can introduce range into your offers as like a phase 2. All right. I hope that makes sense. Right. What else? Because I was going off on one a little bit there. What else? I think I've said everything. Have I said everything? Evergreen. Gentle. Oh, yeah. So I want to end on sales. Okay. I really love sales. I never used to love sales. It always felt really icky to me. And it's like, oh, I'm taking money from someone. Like all of this imposter syndrome stuff. But when I started to really flow with my sales was again when I started to build in some of these new paradigm kind of threads into the way I was showing up in my sales. I wouldn't shy away from them anymore. And I wouldn't feel like I needed to be some kind of weird, I don't know, like marketing type person, slamming people into sales as usual, that whole methodology thing. No, it was like what I did, and this is what I'm starting to teach to my clients a lot who are interested in deep diving into sales more, is it's actually about gentle, aligned, potent, word again, sales, where 80% of the work is done before people even get onto a phone call with you, for argument's sake. Let's just say that you are taking discovery calls. We want people to be 80% sure of their decision before they even get onto that call with you. This isn't about getting cold prospects onto a call that have no idea what you offer or what you're all about and just want to shoot the shit with you for 45 minutes, or people that just think they're going to get some free advice or, free therapy sessions. We want to make sure that we're attracting the right people. And we also want to kind of create that beautiful, ethical, supportive container for people to make their sales decisions as well, to make their buying decisions within that space. And so there's a whole process that I've developed and that I share with my clients around discovery calls and how to really negotiate discovery calls in a way that is awesome and actually just feels like an invitation. Because as I said, 80% of the work is done before someone gets onto a call. So then it really just does become about, can I help you? Yes or no? Are we a fit to work together? Yes or no? Do you want my help? Yes or no? And then it becomes an invitation and some space for people to make the decision. Right? Nothing like sliding into DMs, nothing like continually harassing people on social media and stalking your leads list, or, as I said, slimy discovery call tactics that a lot of people are still doing and that I really do think are on the way out because people have no tolerance and no patience for that stuff anymore. So I think combining all of these things together, these beautiful, small, intimate, evergreen workshops and immersions with ethical sales, with feeling really good and potent in your creativity, your receptivity, your alignment, bringing all of these things together with the right business model, like I was saying, right pricing, the right kind of containers, the right offerings with range is really what I believe to be this new paradigm. And so a lot of the kind of the buzzing around and the weird noise and that constrictive, whenever I'm looking down my list now and I'm reading through that list of old paradigm stuff, I'm like, oh, like I feel really in my body, just feeling into it now. I feel like really constricted. I feel really like tight in my stomach. The muscles around my backbone just feel really tense. Because I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be in people's DMs selling. I don't want to be slamming people into sales. I don't want to be constantly on social media. And I'm not. If you look at my social media, I'm on there, remember, consistently, but certainly not stalking around it every single day and chasing people down. Okay. So look, that's my take. That's my little industry watch. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some value from it. My offer still stands of a breakthrough call. All right. So those calls are for people who are coaches, who are wellness pros, who are therapists, healers, course creators, who are potentially ready to explore some of these new paradigm ideas. Okay. What we're going to do is we'll speak for 40 minutes. As I said, you'll get 40 minutes of my time for free. There's no, guess what? Practice what I preach. There's no hard sell. There's none of that sort of stuff. But really how I like to approach these calls, and this is important to say, I like to approach these calls in a way that's like, right, let's look at the kind of the lay of the land here. Where are you at with your business? Where are your challenges? Where do you want to be? And getting clear on that. But then also you'll get my actual advice on how to apply some of these sort of new paradigm ways of doing things to your business and your goals. You'll get my eyes on some of those challenges that you're up against. And I give it actual advice as well, just so you know. And so we're going to look at all of this. And the reality is, if I can help you, of course, we could talk about that. I'm very happy to share more details about my mastermind and what that looks like and all of those sorts of things. And you're going to get a lot of that information before the call too, so you can have a look and just prepare in that sense. But if you need something else, or there's someone else that's a better fit for you, I can very, very, very much point you in the right direction. Okay, so a lot of contacts in the industry. If there's something else you need, perhaps you want to create or want to really focus on more of that low ticket business model at the moment, great, I can point you in the right direction for that. If you want to do super duper high ticket, I can point you in the direction of someone who specializes in that too. I specialize in mid-tier, mid-ticket offers for people who are ready to sort of get that financial backbone, that sort of 5K in their business. That's my jam, okay? And helping people create offers that actually sell, working with people in a high touch way, hands-on way to help them with that, okay? So that's just kind of a little bit of if it is the right fit and it's something that you're looking to explore, working together, that's kind of the business that I support, okay? So just to be really clear on that. So again, I can talk you through all of that on the call. Best bet is to just book your call. Okay, there's limited spots because there's only one of me. You are getting to speak to me personally. All right, we're gonna have a good old time. We'll get deep into it. We get right under the hood of what's going on, and we'll have a good laugh as well. And I'm very happy to share more about again what I see and my insights, how you can and if you can start applying some of these new paradigm shifts into your business as well. So go to lightpurposeliving.com/talk. The link will be around this episode as well. And let's chat, like get it in the diary. Let's talk in the next week or so, next couple of days, get it in. Let's talk obligation free. Any questions, you're welcome to email me as well, amanda@lightpurposeliving.com, or shoot me a DM on social media. Happy to come back with any answers to your questions there also. But if this is where we leave it, thank you so much for joining me today. I would really appreciate it if you liked this episode or shared it. It really does help me get the message out. I am not aiming, guys, for a top 100 podcast. I just want to get in front of the right people who need to hear this message, okay? Who are, the right people. So coaches, course creators, therapists, wellness pros. So if you've got people in your network that you feel could benefit from this information, please just share this episode with them. That is all I ask. But yeah, I look forward to hopefully chatting to you very soon. And my dog's barking. I gotta go. See you later. Bye.